What's up, YouTube? After a long awaited wait, I'm finally back with episode 2 of my sports show. Obviously, it's been over a year since the last time I made one of these, so we got a lot to discuss today. We got to discuss the NFL season, we got to discuss early on how the NBA season is going, and we got to discuss the college football playoff that's coming up soon. So let's get right into it. For our first topic, we're going to talk about NFL teams. So the NFL season is coming to a finish with the Chiefs looking like they're the best team in the NFL. The Packers looking great in the NFC. Got the Saints in the NFC, who Kamara just got 6 touchdowns. You got the Steelers, who finally got out of their slump. You got the Bills. The Bills look great. I mean, playoffs look like they're going to be some good playoffs. Going to have some good matchups. And we got in the AFC, we got this big old bundle of teams in the wild card. And even the fourth spot of the divisions. So we have Tennessee, Miami, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Indianapolis. All 5 of those teams, but only 4 can make the playoffs. So who's going to be left out of those 5? So last week, you guys saw Cleveland dropped a big egg to the Jets. They didn't have any of their receivers. I mean, I think they were maybe out without their top 3 or 4 receivers, which is tough. But they lost to the Jets. So they still got that 7 seed. But this week they got the Steelers. But I did hear, though, that Mason Rudolph is starting for the Steelers. So if the Steelers aren't going to play many of their players, the Browns might win that game, because it's not like Steelers are great. And Indianapolis this week got the Jaguars, so I think the Colts are going to beat the Jaguars. Even though the Jaguars did lock in Trevor Lawrence, good for them. Miami got the Bills, though. I don't know if Miami can beat the Bills, but I think the Bills have locked in the 2 seed if the Steelers have locked in the 3 seed, so they might not be playing their players either. I think out of those 5 teams, if I had to pick one to miss, and the Ravens have the Bengals. I don't think the Ravens are going to lose to the Bengals. Miami might drop out because they got the Bills. But the Bills aren't playing their players, though. The Colts might be them. They might all just win. But I think, even though they're one of my favorite teams to watch, I think the Miami Dolphins might drop out of that bunch and miss the playoffs. Because they just got the toughest matchup this week against the Bills. I hope they can get it done and make the playoffs, but I don't know if they can. So I'm gonna say the Dolphins miss, even though I love what Brian Flores is doing in Miami. And then on the NFC side of things, the playoffs are pretty much set, except for, I guess, that 6, 7, 8 seed. The Rams, I guess the Rams can still move up to 5, and that's big, the difference between 5 and 6, because if you get the 5 seed, you get to play Washington in the first round, or whoever that NFC East champ is. And then if you get the 6 seed, you get to play Seattle. So, not that Washington's actually pretty good. They're not that bad, but I'd rather play them than a Seattle. So, I can't believe the Cardinals with Kyler lost last week to the 49ers. I mean, that was crazy. Now they're out of the playoffs. But the Bears have the Packers this week. And I don't see the Bears beating the Packers. And the Packers haven't clinched that 1 seed anything. So the Packers will probably be playing. So I don't see them winning. And who the Cardinals got? The Cardinals got the Rams this week. Ooh, that's a good game. I didn't even notice that. That's a good game. And they both got things to fight for, so I'm not sure. Because I don't think the Bears are going to beat the Packers. but can the Cardinals beat the Rams? Huh. But that defense, I think I'm still gonna go with the Rams. I think the Bears might actually get into the playoffs. That would be crazy because they are not good. So that would be crazy, but I think they might sneak in there. Wow. And wow, that's interesting. For our next topic, we got to discuss NBA teams. The NBA season just started. I don't know how. That's crazy. They got to start it before Christmas when it just ended. Feels like, a week ago with the Lakers winning the championship. But it's back. NBA's back. We got through the Christmas games. We're about, a week in at this point, right? We're about a week in. And we've seen just a very small sample. But we've seen a small sample on how these teams will play. Some teams that have impressed me through a week are the Atlanta Hawks. I am a Hawks fan, but they've looked good. The Nets have lost the past 2 games. Yes, the Nets have lost the past 2 games, but they didn't play KD or Kyrie in that last one. The Nets have impressed me. They've looked good. When they have KD and Kyrie on the floor, they did just lose Spencer Dinwiddie. So that's a tough loss. But the Nets have impressed me. Clippers 3-1. But no, I'm sorry. They lost that big one to the Mavericks. That was not good. The Suns 3-1. They've impressed me. Kings 3-1 impressed me. Just the way the Lakers look on the court. They're 2-2 right now, but if you just watch the Lakers on the court, they're just. I think they're the best team in the NBA, and when you add a guy like Schroeder and Harrell, oh my goodness, Lakers, they're good. Okay, and some teams that have been not impressive, disappointing so far. It's only a very small sample, right? Only 4 or 5 games. So I'm not saying they're gonna suck for the rest of the year or anything like that. But Houston with Harden. That situation down there is just not good. Because Harden doesn't want to play for them, and he's still running the team on the floor. I don't know what it's like off the floor now, but on the floor, he's still a point guard. He's still putting up 30 and 10. Harden's great. I think Harden is a top 5 player in the NBA. But when he don't want to be there, and the way they're working, it's not working. And they're sitting at 0-2 right now. Who else has been disappointing so far? Toronto is 0-3. Toronto's a good team. I don't know they just haven't figured it out yet. I think that's one that I do think they'll figure it out. They just kind of have hit a little speed bump to start here. See, I can't say any other teams because I don't want to blow anything out of proportion and just because it's only 4 games. But for my predictions for the playoffs, way down the line, my early predictions for this year, we'll say the top 4 teams remaining. I'll tell you those. I'm going to say in the East, the Eastern Conference Final is going to be the Nets versus the Bucks. Giannis is going to continue to improve every year. And I think they will get there with Holiday and Middleton. That low big 3 they got there. I think they'll get there. Because I think the Bucks can make some noise. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks and Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then in the Western Conference Finals, I'm gonna go with the Lakers, who've looked great. Do I go with the Clippers? Lakers and I gotta say the Clippers because just Kawhi. I mean, Paul George. He says he got this new mentality towards this year. So, I mean, hopefully, it don't matter what you do in the regular season because we know Paul George can play great in the regular season. It just depends on the playoffs. So, but I think it's going to be those two in the Western Conference Final. But I do think the Lakers will win again, and I think the Nets will get it out of the East if KD can continue to play what he can do, and Kyrie just does what he does. Then I think we'll get a Lakers Nets final, and I think that would be a great final to watch. But I do think the Lakers would win in probably 7. That Lakers team is just so good. I picked them to win the championship last year. I picked them again this year. LeBron James, the best player in the NBA, is just going to get it done, in my opinion. For the final topic of today, we got to talk about the college football playoff. So, college football playoff. We got number 1 Alabama, number 2 Clemson, number 3 Ohio State, and number 4 Notre Dame. So, these 4 teams. Alabama is great. I think they got the best offense in the country. Their defense is good. It's not great. It hasn't been. It's not that usual amazing Alabama defense, I think. But their defense is still really good. Clemson at 2 with the best quarterback in the country, at Trevor Lawrence. He's just, oh my goodness. And the team around them, ETN, all the wide receivers, that defense they got with Brett Venables, that coordinator, they're definitely second, maybe, or first best team in college football. Third, you got Ohio State. Ohio State has not played up to what people thought they should be. That's what I think. They're sitting at 6-0, but Ohio State has not played a clean game yet and up to the potential. Maybe this is their potential. Maybe they're really not that good this year. I hope not, because I want to see a good game on Friday. But maybe they're not as good this year. But Justin Fields at the helm, that quarterback, I think he's the second best quarterback in college football. Chris Olave, their running game. Ohio State can be a good team. They can be good, but they've only played 6 games. So we haven't really seen them do much. I mean, that's why you notice all these coaches, especially like SEC and Dabo, ranked Ohio State 11th in the polls. I mean, I can understand that because if you look at what they've done, I know it's not their fault that they've only played 6 games, but they've only played 6 games. So, and you look at all these other teams like 9-win A&M, who beat Florida and lost to Alabama. I mean, why aren't they in? And then moving on to Notre Dame. See, Notre Dame, a lot of times, this has happened, Notre Dame will go 12-0, right? Get themselves in the playoffs and get whacked by that team. Because we're like, oh, Notre Dame's good, and then they suck. I mean, it's happened before. It happened before in the playoff to Clemson, and I think this year, since Notre Dame had to be in the ACC, went into the ACC this year, we just saw it early, right? So we saw Clemson clobber Notre Dame in the ACC championship. We saw this before the playoff, but I understand why the College Football Playoff Committee wanted to put Notre Dame in because of their regular season win over Clemson and just their overall resume. But Notre Dame is not that good. So my top 4 teams, I think the 4 best teams in college football are Alabama 1, Clemson 2, A&M 3, and Florida 4. That's purely if you look at the eye test, because I don't think, if you watch the SEC championship, I don't know if another team can compete with Alabama the way Florida can. I think Florida. Florida can compete with Alabama. Clemson can compete with Alabama. Maybe I'm not even gonna say Ohio State from what I've seen. I gotta see that game on Friday to see if Ohio State will come to play. I'm not saying that Florida does not deserve to be a top 4 team at all. I mean, Florida lost to LSU, and A&M, and then they lost to Alabama, obviously. But they competed with Alabama, and I'm saying A&M is 3 because A&M beat Florida. And I think the way the football that A&M has been playing with their running game and the playmakers they got at receiver and their defense, I think they're probably the 3rd best team. Because I don't know what Ohio State's like, and Notre Dame just got spanked by Clemson. I mean, Notre Dame is not that good. I think that Notre Dame might be 5th maybe, but I think those are the 4 best teams in college football. If you watch that game, you'll probably disagree with me, but I mean, they probably are. They don't deserve it because, obviously, like I said, Florida does not deserve to be in. A&M does have a case to be in, but those are my top 4 teams. And, all right, so we finally get to my predictions for the college football playoff games. So first, we got Alabama versus Notre Dame. So Alabama has the offense. Mac Jones, best player in the country, Devontae Smith. I don't think Waddle is coming back for that game. I don't think he's healthy, but if they had Waddle, woo! Najee Harris at running back. I mean, that Alabama team is just, that offense is just insane. They can just do anything to beat you. The only thing they don't have is a scrambling quarterback, but that's fine. I mean, when you have Najee Harris, it doesn't matter. And Notre Dame has Ian Book at their quarterback, and they got a good defense. But I don't see. I hope they do because I always like I said I want to see a good game, but I don't see how Notre Dame can just keep up with Alabama scoring wise, because that Notre Dame offense is just, I don't know if it's good enough to compete with Alabama. So my final prediction for that game, I gotta go 42-24 Alabama. That's my prediction. I hope it's closer. I really do, but I don't know if it can. Then we got Clemson, Ohio State. Clemson, Ohio State. Clemson is a great team. I mean, we've seen that all year. Only lost to Notre Dame without the best QB in the country. But they have of course Trevor Lawrence. They have Travis Etienne, playmakers at wide receiver, and a great defense, like I said earlier. And Ohio State got Justin Fields as quarterback, second best quarterback. I think it's the top 2 quarterbacks in the country are going at it on Friday. If Ohio State plays up to what they're supposed to be, this should be a good game. But if you're gonna wait until the college football playoff to play your best football, I don't know. So I do think Clemson wins this game. But my final score, I think Ohio State will show up to play. I think Justin Fields is going to have a good game. But I must say my final score is going to be 35-28 Clemson. Maybe, yeah, Clemson. Clemson by a touchdown, I'd say. Clemson by a touchdown, and I had Alabama by about 3 scores. Yeah. Those are my predictions for the college football playoff, and then I got Alabama versus Clemson in the championship. Thank you so much for watching episode 2. Hopefully I'll come out with another one and not make y'all wait a whole year, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.